Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. On Reddit, we get asked one question over and over again. Is the Steam Deck right for me? In this video, we'll do our best to give you a brutally honest assessment of the Steam Deck that may help you make that very decision. Stick around.
Let's go into the Monroe world.
Having been a Steam Deck owner since launch and spending copious amounts of time watching what people complain about the most on Reddit, I feel I'm in a unique position to advise those watching as to whether or not the deck is right for you. I'll cover 7 areas that are frequently discussed and give you the truth behind the Steam Deck's performance in those areas. Area 1. How is it as a desktop PC? Yes, people often want to know this because they want or need to buy a desktop or laptop, but they need someone to justify why they should buy a Steam Deck instead. The true answer to this depends on your needs. This doesn't have Windows, so you're going to be stuck with Linux software or web apps. Now, I realize for some, that's all you need, but before taking the plunge, you should make a bullet list of what you can't live without. Make damn sure that Linux has it, or you're willing to use something similar instead. You should also know that this device wasn't intended to be a full-time workstation, and you're going to have to invest in all the things it takes to make it behave like one. There are also no benefits of performance by having it docked as a PC rather than being used as a handheld. If you can live with using a Chromebook or your phone as a PC, you can probably live with your deck as a PC, but I would consider a dual boot or even a full replacement with Windows, and honestly at that point you might as well consider a desktop or a laptop, possibly even a different handheld as a better choice. Area 2. How is it as a TV game console? There are so many things that can go wrong with this use case for the deck that friction during this use case is almost guaranteed. TV compatibility, resolution issues, reduction in performance, controller connectivity problems, especially if you're using more than one, and I could go on and on. There are some Reddit users out there that claim it works great, but every few days, we'll see posts about people with issues. Much like using a deck as a PC, it really wasn't designed for it. It also suffers a similar fate of having no additional benefits being plugged in, like, say, a Nintendo Switch would. Truth. If you think this will be a good game console, you might get lucky, but if you want to hedge your bets, I would consider something like a B-Link Nook or similar mini PC that can perform considerably better than a deck, probably cost the same or less, and would likely give you a better experience. Area 3. How do mods for games work on deck? If modding is your bag and you have no experience in Linux, Proton, or SteamOS, I recommend buying something else, preferably something running Windows. Most modding tools are designed for Windows, and the flat file structure of the Windows OS is considerably different than SteamOS with its Proton prefixes and split installs of games. Now, if you're a Steam Workshop modder, you're fine. Anything else introduces friction, and people are largely displeased with the level of effort required to make even the simplest of mods work. Again, as before, if modding is your name, Windows is your game, even if it happens to be running on the Steam Deck. Area 4. Can I play games from other digital lockers like EA, Rockstar, Ubisoft, blah, blah, blah? Yes, but, and with the Steam Deck outside of purpose, there is always a but. Yes, you can use tools or install these lockers as non-Steam games, that is true. But as always, there's just a bit more to the story. How, for example, is your tolerance for friction? These third-party lockers frequently break, sometimes for days or even weeks. Battle.net went through a full month period where it didn't work. When you buy a third-party title from Steam that uses one of these tween lockers, it is in Steam's best interest to get it working again. Steam does not offer that level of support when you buy games from other publishers and use their standalone lockers to play them. You're also going to miss out on some other great things like targeted Proton updates on a per game basis and pre-compiled shader caches that can literally make or break live service games, think Marvel Rivals or Overwatch, and graphically heavy games. Again, if you don't want to use Steam and your game collection is largely existing outside of the ecosystem, I truly recommend you consider an alternative Windows-based device instead. Area 5. How is it for streaming games from game consoles, gaming PCs, or online services like GeForce Now? Game streaming can be done on almost any device, from dedicated devices like the PlayStation Portal to your cell phone and anything that really supports a compatible web browser. What makes or breaks streaming isn't the device, typically, but your network, both your LAN or local area network and WAN, wide area network. In the case of streaming from one device in your home to another, the overall quality of your LAN must be excellent to avoid input lags, jitters, frame loss, crushed blacks, all the other things that are symbolic of a poor network. Is the device you want to stream from wired to the network? 2 legs of Wi-Fi connection leads to all sorts of randomness and streaming fidelity. Are you willing to wire these devices and even consider wiring your deck to the network too to overcome streaming issues? Once you leave your home, the wide area network is completely outside your control. No matter how great your internal network is or how great your internet speeds claim to be, game streaming is a totally different thing. Just because you can watch Netflix in 4K doesn't mean you can competitively game on GeForce Now via your deck. I will say that streaming internally is pretty badass if you have the right setup. Unfortunately, most people don't have the best internal networks. To make things worse, most folks have ISP-provided hardware that is difficult, if not impossible, to optimize. Of course, if you live in an area of high Wi-Fi network congestion, like an apartment complex, there are going to be factors outside your control that will negatively impact game streaming. None of this is unique to the deck. Any streaming device you choose will suffer from the same factors, but the deck isn't somehow immune or grants you any favor in this department. Area 6, can it play AAA games? Yes, the eternal question. Is SteamDeck powerful enough to play games X, Y, or Z? You ask for the truth? I'm here to give it to you. The answer is not a simple yes or no. The answer is, it depends. Well, what does it depend on? Well, 3 factors, really. First, how well is the game optimized? Lately, we've been seeing a lot of games that are very poorly optimized by developers. These games might disproportionately rely on CPU over GPU or other factors that, frankly, make it perform sketchy even on a powerful gaming PC. When you hear Game X runs poorly on low-end gaming PCs, it's not going to fare well on the deck. Second, Windows-based anti-cheat concerns. Yes, the latest AAA shooter may run just fine on the deck if left to its own devices. But due to a Windows-only anti-cheat, like Ricochet on Call of Duty Black Ops 6, it's not going to run at all. Not the deck's fault, but you're still not going to get to play it, well, without installing Windows somehow on the deck. So it is surmountable, but again, what's your tolerance for friction? Finally, speaking of tolerance, what's your tolerance for various impacts of running AAA games at very low resolution, using gobs of upscaling, and running sometimes under 30 FPS? Oh, and not necessarily a steady 30 FPS. For many people, it doesn't matter. The deck is their only PC, and the game they want is only on that platform. So if it looks like there's Vaseline all over the screen and requires 240p upscaling and hits 10 FPS sometimes, that's fine by them. At least they get to play it. For these people, most AAA games are fully acceptable on deck. But what about you? How is your tolerance for those sorts of things? The small screen often takes some of the sting out of that, and games running at lower resolutions, like the deck, can often boost visuals without a bunch of trade-offs. But part of the razzle-dazzle of AAA games are the aesthetics, and if you have to give a lot of that up to play it all, well, only you can decide if you're good with games X, Y, or Z possibly suffering on the Steam Deck. That said, with hundreds of thousands of games available to play between Steam and emulation that look and play great on deck, especially those sweet as hell mid-tier games on the PC, perhaps you're willing to overlook the handful of AAA titles that don't perform well. Area 7, is it still worth it in 2025 or should I wait for Steam Deck 2? When you went out shopping last for a big electronics purchase, say a big screen TV or gaming monitor or a new microwave, how much time did you sit there thinking, hey, maybe I shouldn't buy this right now because something better might come along? Probably never, right? You're out shopping for something that meets your current needs and wants, not some fictitious needs or unknown needs in the future. The bottom line is, of course, something better is going to come along. Have you met technology and corporate greed? Yes, the Steam Deck is getting a bit long in the tooth. Despite being remarkably capable today, is it going to play GTA 6, Black Ops 7, the next big crap fest from Ubisoft? We don't know. And anybody that claims one way or the other is probably full of crap. There are too many factors at play to know the future of gaming a month from now, let alone that far into the future. Hard luck cases like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which isn't even out on PlayStation 5 yet, turned out to play pretty damn good on the deck despite day one being a complete and utter crap show. Then again, similar hard luck cases like Pacific Drive still run like ass all this time later. Don't buy something you hope will be good tomorrow. Buy stuff you want to enjoy today. And if tomorrow comes, and all the factors align against you, and that single poorly optimized AAA anti-cheat game doesn't run, good Lord, you still have a boatload to play. And based on some of the backlogs you people share on Reddit, it's probably better it doesn't run next year's big titles. That said, make a checklist of every game today that you want to play on deck. Hit YouTube, see how it is playing. If the checklist is complete and you're happy with the performance today, then Steam Deck is probably for you. Don't let tomorrow's FOMO get in the way of today's happiness. Well, that's it for this one. I'm Shane R. Monroe. If I've helped you out or entertained you, I would appreciate liking and sharing this video. And if I'm putting out the kind of stuff you love, your subscription means the world to me. Thanks again so much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.